matter, what race you are, no matter where you live, bad company is still going to corrupt you. We're one of the few cultures that don't have the same rite of passages, like whether it's a debut, a quinceañera, whatever. This is almost our rite of passage. It's almost like the trauma. Your kids are going to be who your kids are going to be, not who you want them to be.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Lavatory Podcast. Technically take 2, but y'all don't really need to know about that. I got a special guest in the house, in the bathroom today. You want to introduce yourself?
Ryan Echols. I'm in the lab today. You feel me?
In the lab.
Yeah.
Co-signed.
Yeah.
Now, Ryan, I had to let you introduce yourself because I am notoriously known for messing up people's intros.
Dig that.
I've messed up my buddy Jordan's. I've messed up Caleb's. I've messed up Josh's.
That might be like a thing of yours. You know what I mean? You know how Sway does like the super big, outspoken intro? You could, mess up every intro.
I could. And then I'd be like those people that you didn't read anything about me, did you? You didn't do no research. I'm like, nope, I really didn't.
It could be both, bro. It could be both.
But Ryan, it's so good to have you here again.
Yeah.
Because we had some technical difficulties the first time, and it was such a good conversation. But it's just gonna be another great conversation.
Yeah.
And I feel like even now we have so much more to talk about.
Yeah, definitely. I'm glad to be back. Yeah.
Yeah. Welcome back. Now, if you guys have been following me for a while, you've probably seen some clips and highlights and some fun projects I've been a part of. One of those is Ryan's project. Ryan, do you want to talk about that project?
Yeah. So that film is Friendz. Friendz is a short film that I wrote and produced that's based on a true story. Friendz is actually based on a experience that I had as a young man, up and coming. Kind of taught me a lot about bad company can corrupt good morals, or just surrounding yourself with the right people or the wrong people, and kind of what that can bring into your life. So I took a story from my youth and then kind of put it together into this short film, Friendz. Yeah,
and it's very interesting because part of that story took place here in Temecula. I mean, I lived here for a while.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie to you. And I don't really see the type of activities that be going down in the film.
Yeah.
Not to give anything away.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
But 2 of the characters come from affiliated gang backgrounds.
Yeah.
And so it's like, were they... Do we have Temecula Pyrus and Crips out here?
That's hilarious. No, and I love that you said the Temecula Pyru line because that's a joke. So that's kind of the joke in the film. It being based on a true story, the people that it was based on weren't from here. And they would come out here to sometimes do dirt in a different area. But to your point, this isn't really the community for that. And it kind of reminds me, it's funny, there's quotes in the film that, things my mom used to say, and this quote isn't in there, but, if you're looking for shit, you'll find shit. Anywhere you are. And I've learned that, you can find trouble anywhere you're looking. There's always something to meet you there. But no. So the actual people that this was based on, from Oceanside and from Southeast.
Gotcha. Mm-hmm. Okay, gotcha. Now, this was a really fun project to work on. Can we talk about some of your background when it comes to movie making? Have you always been... a writer, producer, director. How did you get into the creative arts?
Yeah, that's funny you said that. Yeah, actually, it's from the experiences that were around this time. So I was in high school and I had gotten in trouble and I started acting because I was getting kicked out of class, and there was a teacher that kind of looked out for me. She would let me come into her class, and then I really fell into it and fell in love with acting from there. But I hadn't really ever wanted to produce or to write or anything except for I would just kind of start thinking of different things. And a lot of my writing comes from things that I've been told, things I heard, things I saw, and then I'll create a story kind of based off of that. So the first couple of scripts I wrote were really just based on things that I'd seen or, similar to Friendz. It's really just based on a lot of what I've experienced, been around, seen, or listened to.
Got you. Yeah, and speaking about like the Friendz setup, because I helped out with audio on that project.
Got him.
And it was really cool because you kind of I didn't know anybody prior to you and like Josh on that project. Everybody else was just kind of brand new to me. And what I found was really funny was that everybody had like a mixed martial arts like background. And I know you have a background in that too, and that kind of played like a part in like the film. Can you talk about some of your background when it comes to mixed martial arts?
That was crazy though. I'll be real. I've never there's not a film project that I've ever worked on that's had that many people involved with mixed martial arts and in different capacities. It was really cool. So yeah, like the women, everybody. But yeah, I fell into mixed martial arts about almost 14, 15 years ago now. Really because, and you'll find the consistent theme of like some of the things that I was doing, getting in a little trouble, getting into fights here and there. I really think it was more so a focus and discipline thing, and really just channeling, finding where to channel that energy. And once I found martial arts, that changed my life. And it was a guy, my boy Tim, who led me to go to do martial arts. And then from there, that kind of just changed my life. I became more focused. I became more disciplined. I started, leading in a different capacity. Obviously like the physical changes are healthy. They make you feel better. So it just was like mind, body, and soul better all around. And then from there, I continue to try to do it as much as possible. And I try to teach because my coach taught me each one teach one. That's like our responsibility, as martial artists. Yeah.
And you kind of drew back to this something about your past I wanted to like dive into. So you said you had gotten into like a couple fights and you've been in trouble in school. Like, were you like a troubled kid growing up, or are these just like kind of like one-off instances every so often, or were you like a habitual problem?
I was a habitual line stepping ass. And just because like, you could probably tell I like to talk a lot and get into things and kind of instigate a little bit. And I had from just growing up with kind of just me and my mom and my brother, obviously like having a lot of anger and lack of understanding of what's going on in my family design. And I think a lot of that manifested, and then searching for what is it? You kind of search for like not just friends, but being accepted in communities and belonging and things. And I think that happens to a lot of people. But for me, I tend to act out, and I did do that. Not like a bully or in any way, shape, or form. It was just like. I didn't know how to manage how I was thinking or feeling about a lot of things. And, obviously had that energy, which I still do with my fighting and training. But without guidance, I feel like any young person is going to go off the rails with something that could potentially be their gift, Yeah.
Gotcha. And it's very interesting you say that, because I'm going to bring up a good point after I check this camera.
Yeah.
We're not about to do what happened last time.
I'm with you, G.
Now we're good.
All right, I'm with it.
Past the other time we.
All right, bet. Cool. Let's do it. We're in the end game now.
But that does bring up a good point about like nature versus nurture, because I have a somewhat similar background to what you just described, where it was just me and my mom, and we kind of traveled. We traveled a lot because she was in the military, and so I lived in like pretty much one place like every 2 years.
Jeez.
And so I had a lot of the same like trying to find belonging, because you're always moving, and because she's in the military, I'm like spending all this time by myself and like developing a sense of identity and like what do I like to do and enjoy, and having some of those same frustrations, but never ever would I have like contemplate like acting out in like in a way like I always like I was deemed as like seen as a good kid.
Nice.
Like,
okay.
Very quiet, funny, and like tried his best in school and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So it's funny that like we can have similar upbringings to a certain degree, and then still come out with different results.
Yeah.
And so like, where do you stand on like the idea of nature versus nurture? Because you're a dad.
Yeah.
And how do you feel like that kind of plays a role in how you parent?
Yeah. I mean, I've now, as a parent, I do see there's levels of both. Really, we and this from biblically and from, spiritually or whatever you believe in, like there is a nature that is in us that we have that one way or the other, we have to keep at bay or to do the right thing, force ourselves to do the right thing in one way, shape, or whatever you believe in. So I know that the nature is there, but I do see that the nurture is important because that's where character and the mindset and the things that you live out, really come into who you are. So it's a little bit of both. And I think, for me, acting it out this way is partially the identity piece, from being young. And sometimes getting poured into with some negative, influences, negative media, a lot of influences from, people that now have changed and things like that. And I think there is a level of nurture there as well. And then, this is something we've talked about as well. Like in the Black community, there's always not always, but a lot of times an identity crisis of, where do I fit in my own community? Where do I fit in outside of that? Why, other communities' perception of me, how do I fit into that? And, how we navigate that. There's a lot of those pressures that, and that's why Friendz to me is important. That's because
let's
yeah. Yeah, man, I've been doing this selling thing for no. That's why Friendz is important, even if it, as a short film, because it challenges those norms and asks the questions at least enough to where it'll make someone think like, okay, wait, why am I doing what I'm doing?
Yeah. And that actually, man, there's so many ways we can approach this.
Yeah.
To just not put a pin on that, but just to add to that point right there, I think that is like a great lesson that I even picked up just doing audio. Because to be honest, I didn't even read the script beforehand. Because when you asked me, I just said yes because it's like,
we're grinding.
Yeah, we're grinding. And Ryan wants my help. Like I don't even need to know what's going on. Just let me be there, and I'll just show up.
Hell yeah.
But even in hearing, you guys act out the script and listening through it, those type of lessons I picked up on immediately because of just like how well it was scripted, how well you guys performed, and how well the pacing was. Those type of lessons are really potent.
That's
I feel like they're gonna be really potent when the film comes out.
That's what's up.
But I feel like at the same time, because of the audience of it being towards I would say primarily Black audience, it's sad to think that it might fall on deaf ears because of some of the content in there. And people thinking it only applies to one community versus the human aspect of that. We're all like this.
Yeah. That's a good point. I mean, I think the themes apply to everybody because no matter, what race you are, no matter where you live, whether, I said joke about this, whether you're in Southeast San Diego, South Central LA, or upstate New York, bad company is still going to corrupt you, whether you're drinking Hennessy or white wine, or whatever it is. So I think there's universal messages to it. And I hope that translates, but I am, in writing this one and in making this one, I was a little more specific with, knowing that that's my target demographic with this, knowing that, this language connects, the soundtrack, the music, the outfits, the clothes, everything connects to the demographic because I think those are the people that need the story and will get it and will understand, Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's, that point is really important because I feel like there is this need for, I guess, like you said, from our childhood, a sense of belonging and an anchor point, I would call it, of okay, what are forms of media or people that I can look to as an anchor to kind of not necessarily base my foundation on, but start to build some of the framework of what I believe,
Nice. Yeah.
Or even my identity. And I feel like in the Black community, that is such a hard thing to find.
Yeah.
Who do we really have? Martin Luther King.
Right.
Fucking
even
Henry Carver.
Yeah, and even thinking about those people, that's a lifetime ago almost, So it's that could be discouraging to a young person to think that the only people that I could that look to like this were 60 something years ago and killed, and that's nuts. I think and we kind of talked about this in the past. I think there's so many pressures in being in the Black culture as a whole to find that identity. Like, we're one of the few cultures that don't have the same rite of passages, like whether it's a debut, a quinceañera, whatever. This is almost our rite of passage. It's almost like the trauma and like to go through that, or to go through the identity crisis, or to make it out of the street. Like, it's a weird, it's a difficult place to be in. And, you know, I don't have the solution to it, but I just feel like there's been media in the past, when you kind of circling back to you saying, like, who do we look to? There's been media in the past that has inspired me, that has given me, look, you know.
I know exactly where this is going right now.
There are some pieces of media that do oftentimes inspire, light the flame for brothers to, you know, do the best that we can in this. He's been a guiding light. I'm just like.
If you guys don't know who we're talking about, we're about to allude to Ryan Coogler.
We are talking about the great Ryan Coogler. No, this has been a running joke. This is going to be it for a while. I do love Ryan Coogler, and I am inspired by him, but this is a joke. He was saying, I'm going to start the church of Ryan Coogler. But hey, even if I did, there'd be a lot of members out there. I'm not even.
It's probably already been started on a weird subreddit.
I wouldn't be surprised. After Sinners, for sure, there's a church somewhere.
Oh, yeah, because we're doing this take after the Oscars, aren't we? Or did we?
No, not yet. No, it's
it hasn't happened yet.
They won. What they do? The Globes, though.
The Globes.
Yeah,
that's what it was. Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah. We'll be almost there. We're almost there. We're gonna have to. Like, man.
For those who don't know, like, I wasn't like the biggest fan of Sinners.
Yeah.
Like, as a media as a whole, I think it is like a solid piece. There were some parts that I thought were like a little quirky.
Mm-hmm.
But because to me, like, the way I was getting the promotional material, it kind of, they were promoting it as a horror movie.
Yeah.
So I went into it with like this mindset of
Yeah.
like with certain expectations.
Right.
Like, oh, this is like the greatest like Black horror movie all time. Like, redefines the genre.
Yeah.
And I was like, this isn't scary. And I don't even like horror movies.
I get you though.
But I feel like if it had just kind of promoted itself as like a thriller, or like just not even try to like fit into like a certain genre, you know, maybe I would have gone into it with like a better palette.
Yeah.
But after like, you know, kind of sitting with it, it is like a solid piece.
Mm-hmm.
But there are some parts I was like, all right.
Yeah.
Like,
and I can see how that movie lost people, like, realistically, like, especially as time has gone on. Like, there are parts that are like, where it's like you could tell he's speaking a language to a specific, or like, you know what, I am going to break this because I don't care. They're going to like this. Or there are certain elements of that I do feel like in this. Or, you know, what I loved about it was that he was able to, you know, for me, it always starts with the message, and the message that he was able to convey that was so very deep and close to him with his uncle, and, you know, what the blues meant to him, and what like our media means as a whole, and that translated. But I could see how some of that was lost in the sauce. Yeah. I loved the film for a lot of reasons, but I do think it was the best picture of this year. But, you know, I could definitely see that.
And you know what's funny is like, there is like this big old hype of like the Ryan Coogler wave, Sinners. But like, let's not forget, he did Fruit Valve Station, which I feel like is my favorite work of his. Yeah. Because I watched that at a pretty young age, and just like at the time I didn't realize it was based on a true story because of like how young I was. Yeah. But the way he captured like the normalcy. Yeah. The normalcy. Normalcy.
Either way.
Who knows?
Right.
Of like that guy and like everything leading up to like what a normal day would have looked like up until like this moment, and it's just in a moment, you know, that it just kind of, things can just like go south and then like escalate to, you know, what it is. But it's not like he was trying to go out and be a martyr and like, oh yeah, I'm doing all these things meticulously to set up like this thing. I think that's
what made it connect so much to audiences that it did connect to, because it did, like, you're right, like he wasn't trying to, you know, be the martyr, do the thing, and it made me feel like, oh man, that's like me. Like, it was just, he's going to work and taking care of his daughter and going to do this, and it's just like, and that's like circling back to Ryan Coogler. That's the thing that I do love about the work that he's made. It has this unique ability to make an impact at so many different stages. All of his works, the first thing I saw of his was a short film that he did for his thesis. I think it was called Locks, and there's no words. It's like 3 minutes. And the shit made me cry, dog, because it captured this love and sacrificial love that this brother from the hood had for his like either daughter or little sister that was going through chemo. And like that complex concept right there in 3 minutes with no words, and it connected. And then, from there, like his works they do inspire, or they do for me, it helps me see there's a possibility to make this type of media. Like that was genre bending, but I think it opens the door for Black horror in a sense, or or more, even that film actually opens the door for original stories in Hollywood again, which that's a travesty. But like, so even if it didn't land like perfectly as the film, I feel like his movies kind of like push the envelope in some way, shape, or form,
Yeah. Now, it's funny because you mentioned like original stories in Hollywood. I mean, let's be honest, we're not going to have Hollywood in like 5 years.
Is it really even Hollywood now? Like,
yeah.
Where's
this money coming from to produce these films?
Yeah.
Because of what we know now.
Yeah.
As of right now,
we know who some of the people are who have the money to.
February 2023, Epstein files are out.
Yeah.
It's just kind of, it's not necessarily over, but there is like this big rise in like more authentic stories like Friendz, and especially with technology, like it's more on us now to I guess hold the rights to these creative ideas and to produce like these medias that tell like impactful things and lessons for us to derive from, because like you said, like we're not gonna get it from Hollywood. They're just gonna find the next story that they can remake. I just watched Wonka, like for the first time.
Oh, the
Chalamet one, for the first time last week. I was like, I would like this as like a 7-year-old, but it's not like reinventing the wheel
at all.
It's just like elements that you enjoyed from like the 70s version.
It's like safe nostalgia. Like it's almost like the recipe is so obvious, like, all right, if I put 250 million in this and do this and that, I'll make 330 million, and that's we'll just go back to work the next day. It's very like by the numbers. But to your point, I'm excited about the fall of Hollywood in a sense, because like what I'm hearing is people are more interested in watching content without those faces that they recognize in it. And I think that's really cool, because if people can open their minds and be a little more receptive to media that doesn't have your typical 26 to 35 actors that they use for every single big budget movie, if they can look at this and that and this and that, I do think it opens up the door for direct consumer markets, or just for like, more success for other films. So I mean, honestly, I feel like that'd be a good thing at this point. Yeah.
With the exception of Ryan Coogler, obviously, because he always put Michael B. Jordan.
He wasn't in the list. He wasn't on any files. He never been on a plane with them. Brother Ryan is, he's good to go. Him and Kendrick, I'm okay as long as neither one of them.
Yes, exactly.
Oh, I would have been devastated.
Now, speaking of that again, like, do you feel like do you see yourself as somebody that will want to fill that void of like being an anchor point for the youth or anybody within like our community watching, and is that something you're actively trying to seek, or is that something you're willing to accept if people say like, oh, Ryan, like I watch Friendz and I felt this type of way, and I just want to not necessarily like follow you, but like I look to you as like a mentor and kind of again guide my life based on like your actions and that kind of thing.
I mean, I feel like that is every man's responsibility regardless, dog. Because it's like, I mean, again, if you want to go, you can go biblically, you can go spiritually, you can go whatever religion, the order and the design, for, a man to be the protector, provider, and to like lead doesn't just stop in the home. It starts in the home, but it's supposed to permeate outside of that, into our communities. And that doesn't mean like,
Let's hold on there for a second. Okay, we just lost the audio, which is fine. We just kind of switched to the camera.
Oh, okay.
Let me make sure I didn't miss the camera, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're good on that. Yeah. Gotta check it, man. I'm one man.
Yeah, yeah, and you be killing it, dog. You ask good questions. Most of seriously.
But you were saying biblically, it is irregardless. Yeah, like irregardless, it's a man's responsibility.
Yeah, to be.
Can you touch back on that?
Yeah, as like leader, and that's not a bad thing. Responsibility isn't like really. Yeah. Our job is to be the leader or to the protector or the provider, and to guide and instill vision, to our family. And you look at like Noah, you could look at like it was his thing. He had the vision, he had the message, it was his to give to his kids and his kids' wives and all that, so that's your community. So like, even if I'm not saying I want to be on, like I need to be Malcolm X, but like if there's some young people in the community that are like, hey bro, I got questions, like as a man and as a leader, like I need to be there for them if someone isn't. And that's what I needed, and thankfully there were people that did come later on that were that for me. But yeah, I think we have to do that.
Yeah. And do you feel like there's still people that you use and look up to kind of get to that next level of like being a grandpa or something, or like how to deal with like old age or something that you're still looking forward towards in like helping build your framework, or do you feel like you kind of get to a point where it's like, okay, like these are the tools I have to work with, everything else from this I can either like develop or kind of just stick to, kind of like you can't teach old dog new tricks, like do you kind of believe in that, or is there still people that you're looking up to and kind of guiding in their footsteps?
That's good. That's a great question. Honestly, if it wasn't for martial arts, because I didn't go to college, and I know in college you go through like mentorship programs or like, work experiences where they place you with people who are like leaders and things over you. So had I not got into martial arts, I probably wouldn't believe this. But yeah, I think that you always need downpour, so like people who are better, smarter, more wise, that pour into you, and then you pouring into other people, because that, like, I've learned from teaching martial arts, that's made me a better martial artist. And then there are people that I sit under that will always make me better. Now there are some people that I don't sit under anymore, because I have now found that I now have the tools to get past that. But I think we always need to have mentors and brothers that are alongside of us. That's the other component. Brothers that are alongside of us, like our crew, that we can push each other, motivate each other spiritually, physically, mentally, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's an interesting point that you kind of put in there about like getting to a point where it's like you've taken what you can learn from somebody, but you've also noticed that like there's only so much they can do, and you have to like move past them. I've kind of also felt that instinctually when it comes to like certain friends I've had like throughout the years, where it's like, oh man, like I really, look up to this person, and then once you put in the work to like, level yourself up, you realize that people get comfortable, and get stagnant, and so it's really important. I've learned that it's really important to like, appreciate what they've done, but not stagnate myself to that level as if like that's the max.
Yeah. Yes. And this is something that I saw from some of the homies that I had back in the day. You get enslaved to the loyalty of what that once was. Oh man, he used to have my back when I was in the streets. He'll kill somebody for me. You don't need someone killed for you right now. You need someone who can help you find a job. So you stick with the loyalties of where you were at a certain time, even if you've grown past that. So like, not to say you cut those people off, but you can't be held in that. And that's smart. So it's like, yeah, you see that it's stagnated and like things aren't growing. That doesn't mean I have to turn my back on it, but that does mean that I can't go to this person now for the downpour. That's going to keep you here. That's real.
Yeah. Or when you kind of like actually start to develop your own philosophy and I guess how you want to maintain and build your house. So it's like, okay, like, you know what? Because I've noticed that like some people are only good for like financial advice, but not necessarily family structure. Like they can show you how to make money, but how much money they've made is kind of almost at the expense of like
everyone in their life. Yeah.
And there are people who are like, down to earth family people, and they're content with what they have. But then they don't want to build anything for like their grandchildren or their great grandchildren. It's like, oh, they'll just figure it out.
Yeah.
Which is fine, but it's like finding that balance between, like first of all, like what I want for like my household, and like personally, like I really don't believe in the idea of like legacy, because like I'm somebody else's, legacy kind of building out. So it's kind of almost like prideful for me to like now put a stamp on like, now this is my side, like, or my story. It's like, it's really just continuation of somebody else's, which is really just the beginning of God's, legacy, and being grafted into like his, his story. Yeah. So it's like, I don't want to like put my stamp on that as far as like what I accomplished, within my lifetime. That's just like my personal view, because I'm such a, big picture.
Yeah, that's actually a good point. You are part of that. The cool thing is too, though, you're able to have a branch on that tree in a sense of your own, piece of that. Just like it all kind of like, you go back to God, went from God to Abraham to, all the people there, or to Adam, Abraham, all, but like there are those branches that, made Benjamin and made this and made that and made this. So like, yeah, definitely you have that lineage and that kingdom and family, and then piece of your own in that. So yeah, that's real.
Now, speaking of lineage, you have all girls.
Yeah.
All girls.
Yeah. Two girls. Yeah.
And you're a mixed martial arts guy.
Yeah.
Like, are you like one of those like, I'm gonna train them to be like absolute fighters kind of dads? Bro. Like, were you like one of those like, oh yeah, like my family's all gonna be hard? Or did they get you?
Isaiah, that taught me a very valuable lesson as a parent. Your kids are gonna be who your kids are gonna be, not who you want them to be. Because dog, yeah, I had my girl, and I wasn't like, oh, I'm about to make her into like Ronda Rousey or nothing, but it was like, I wanted her to take to what I loved the same way. You know what I mean? And I would push it, and I'd be like, come on, baby, you got to do this. And she would be like, she's against it, And how stupid of me. I'm trying to put a square peg in a round hole, because she's an artist. She likes to paint. She likes to draw. She likes to sculpt. So here I am, and parents do this all the time, only trying to see my son or my daughter or their son or daughter in one light. And like, I'm missing all that she is, So I eventually flipped that and was like, all right, it's no big deal. You do it with me if you want. But now, dude, me and her, we spend so much time watching anime, Pokemon card collecting. We draw together, we color and paint together. Like, she keeps my right brain like artist piece going, where I was trying to like, oh, let's be tough and stupid, dumb. And, I got daughters. So it's like, I originally thought, like, before I had kids, I wanted a son, but the daughters and the love and the way that it changed me, like, that's what I needed. Yeah. That's what made me a complete man, in a sense. You know what I mean? But yeah, dude, I used to try to press that, but she wasn't having it at all. And she's still not. She knows she's nice with her hands and stuff, because, like, I found the martial artist side for her, like, just to show her the technique, and she's into that. But she doesn't want to fight or nothing.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And the other one?
The other one is scrappy. And I don't want her to fight, because she's my little girl. And I'm like, dude, why are you doing this? And she's like, runs up to her little cousin and punches. I'm like, dude, I don't want her to fight. And she's doing it. So it's like, well, I got to teach you, because if you're going to run around and punch people, at least you got to know how to move your head and, catch them. But
that's funny.
Yeah, that's parenting right there, dude. Seriously.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, like the expectation. I mean, you said a really great point about like you only try to see your kid. Parents always try to see their kid what they want them to be, and not like for like who they are, what they can or what they can be.
Right.
And I think that's a sad point that, you know, I hope people out there like realize and pick up on. Like, are you letting your kids be what they can be?
Yeah.
And not what you wish you would have been or like want them to be.
Yeah. I feel like our generation is more mindful of that. Than before, because there was that
our generation is more mindful of a lot of
everything,
things.
Almost too mindful of some things. Our generation be like, I feel this now. Like, hey, bro, you still got to do what you got to do. But no, I think our generation is a little more mindful because there was that wave of, and there's nothing wrong with that, you know, the wave of the parents that were from the boomers, where it was like, you take this job, you do this, you be this, and you look like this, and this is what you do. And that immigrant wave of people that came, you here, you get this job, you do this so you can make this money, you do this, and that's what it is. And I see you as this. You're not a doctor? Like, you know, or so I think our generation is going to be more mindful, and the kids going forward will have a little more grace. Now there is going to be some soft stuff, but like I think the good of that is now allowing people to have true identity and find identity in something more meaningful than just what they do for trade.
Yeah, and I feel like, man, I was about to segue this into a crazy
Let's go there. Come on.
But I feel like as Americans, we're like trying to find our new identity, because people are losing their minds of what it means to be American.
That's
I'm not
a
gonna
good
lie.
point.
Because now people are waking up to the idea that like it's not Democrat or Republican. It's not like
they're
us
all
versus
in
them.
bed together.
It's like, bro,
literally in bed together.
This episode is brought to you by Jergens Baby Oil.
Right. Tell me I'm wrong.
Yeah, but that's why I'm saying it's like these type of things, because even as a kid, I didn't really understand or care about like voting and all that kind of stuff. Even like when Obama was like running for president, it's like,
well, because you were well traveled, you've already been see, and that's now listening to your story, your perspective. You've been to these other countries where you've seen how they live, and now, seeing us and here in America, you're right. And then there is an identity crisis in America right now, and it's. Yeah, we don't even know what that's going to really play out and look like. But that's an interesting perspective from someone who's traveled like you have and seen the world.
Yeah, and it's like every place has their struggles, but I feel like something that's happened that I've noticed is that us as Americans, and even I've started to like even get conditioned to this, is that like this idea that you can't live anywhere outside of America. Like you're not capable of adapting, even though there's so many examples of people coming and being able to adapt to like the culture that we have. Like the idea that you can't go out, learn a different language and immerse yourself into a different culture, but if it's like your lifestyle or you know, belief system, that this is kind of like the end all be all, which is just great marketing on the
that's a trip
on the side of like America, of like, you know, the government marketing it that way, but that's kind of what I've seen. Is like I just don't see myself able to live outside of
It's just so funny, like the land of the free is like, but you can't leave, you can't escape. It's so free, but you have to work every day.
Like you won't leave.
Yes.
So it's like, are you really?
Yes. Are you really free? Yeah, because you can't live without that job or that this or that. So like, how much of you is free at that point?
See,
that's crazy.
And you know what's also really funny? I was just thinking about this. Not to like, I'm not trying to incite or, you know, I don't suggest you doing this, but I just think it's so funny how people were ready to burn down Capitol Hill when Donald Trump didn't get that second election presidency.
Right.
They were ready to burn it down. Recast the votes. Get in there, storm it. We're done.
Right.
But once you find out all this stuff about the Epstein files, and it's more, I would say a more justified reason.
Right.
I'm not saying do it,
but way more justified.
It makes more sense.
Well, you're not saying doing it, but they are doing it in other countries.
Exactly. And it's like now all of a sudden, you know, what at Capitol Hill?
No. We got all these guns, big and bad, but it's
the fire team is like on vacation, on leave.
Yeah.
Nothing's happening. All of a sudden, it's all quiet, dead silence.
Yeah.
And so I don't know what that says about, you know, people who are so ready and able to like just be diehard about something so trivial like that. Now all of a sudden,
one of the worst things you can do to people is make them apathetic. Like once a person doesn't care, like what's happening around them, they have become like they're lost. They're just like, because that what you care for, what you fight for, that's what you live for. And the moment that you don't have, and it's like, oh, whatever, man, this world's fucked up, I'm just going to work. Like, then what are you doing? You know what I mean? You're that like person in the game that you bump into and they just move and keep going. Like, that's scary.
Yeah. And I've actually kind of dealt with that a lot because as I'm saying all of this, I've also worked for like Disney and HBO and like all these like big entertainment companies. And it's hard because like I need to live and, eat. Yeah. So it's like I want a high paying job, but then it's like I can't also like know what I know and then actively try to go back to like such a big corporation and, just kind of allow it to like just allow them to keep doing what they're doing, just because they're gonna give me a paycheck for like my trivial selfish needs, which is why it's like those type of things also motivate me to keep pushing this, because I gotta make a different way for like myself, even though this is also going on YouTube and which is owned by Google and Google's on some traveling that shit. Right. It's I'm still getting some truth out there to people,
definitely. And sometimes you have to use the tools of your oppressor to fight them in revolution, you know what I'm saying? So like if we have these tools over to us and we can use it to put it out there and keep using it, because what else are we gonna do?
My prediction is that it's gonna get back to like those biblical times of just like word of mouth, house meetings, moving in secrecy from station to station, and it's gonna get. I feel like it is gonna get really like jungle Vietnam warfare kind of tactics
before it gets better.
Yeah, before it gets better, because like because you probably have seen this movie. Have you seen what's that movie with Jennifer Aniston? It's called man, and the dude from the Green Book. What's his name?
Green Book. Oh, Mahershala?
Yes.
Okay.
It was him, and then
the
one on Netflix by the
day when the plane started crashing and the whole deal. I forgot the name. Oh, I know what you're talking about. That was a trip.
It's gonna be like that.
That was a trip.
It's gonna be like that.
Wasn't that movie produced by the Obamas?
It was.
Yeah.
They
were just like, hey, it's getting a little dicey out here.
I'm surprised that movie hasn't won anything. Like, it just kind of showed up on Netflix,
and then just kind of was quiet.
Just very quiet movie. But that movie, first of all, it is such a good movie. Yeah. I don't care what the review said. They're like, oh, it was kind of trying to fill all these themes, blah, blah, blah.
I mean, it did, and, I could see how it lose people, but, like, that movie was really good, and the way it caught you, because it didn't explain what was happening until you were a couple days in, right?
I knew.
Yeah, right, of course. But it was like, you kind of just, the way the movie unfolded was like one thing after the next. The pacing was really good. The acting really went along with it. But yeah, that's a very real scenario that we could find ourselves in. That, yeah. And who knows what any kind of transition of power could look like in a couple of years. Like, if guys, there would be a transition of power, depending on what the world would look like at the time of a transition of power, you know what I'm saying? Like, dude.
When we first did the first take of this, none of this had happened yet. Like, this was all like still, low key raps. But it took us so much time to like get this second, interview going because of like just life and like, schedules not lining up and then things happening because then like your kids that got sick and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But this is just evidence of determination, having an important message such as the movie Friendz, coming soon. How soon do you want that movie? Ryan?
Yeah, so
I got to do the post production on it. How soon?
Yeah, right. I know. No, our first screening is going to be in June. We are super fingers crossed looking at Juneteenth for the first screening day. We're definitely going to go in, and then we're looking at another screening day in July. Both would be one in Oceanside, one in Escondido, and then from there Temecula, and then we'll keep going from there.
There you go. Yeah. I felt like I had to get myself out of the conspiracy segment,
I know.
Segue. I was like, man,
so we can tie up on it right there. Look, man, everybody's on it right now. It's not even a conspiracy anymore.
It's not. I actually texted people that I used to like room with back in like 2019 during 2020, because I was out in Huntington like when COVID happened, and like I had watched like the Out of the Shadows like documentary that was on YouTube and all that kind of stuff, and like I was also very skeptical of like the vaccine and all that kind of stuff. Just because it's like, man, this feels so rushed. Like, what are we like really trying to do? Why don't we just like keep staying aside? Like, I'm not trying to. Why do we have 3 versions of it?
Right.
You know, I've never had like a flu shot from like type 1 flu shot, type 2 flu shot. It's like it's always just been like the flu shot.
Right.
You know?
And then the boosters that quickly.
Yeah,
like,
boosters.
it was
like, what's going on here?
We just got the wave out in a month ago, and boosters,
Yeah, so like all that was just very kind of like suspicious to me. Like, to be honest, which I hope I don't get canceled for this, but it's like, I can't get canceled. I haven't started yet.
But
they might come back in like 5 years.
If you get canceled, then those guys don't.
But basically, what I was gonna say was like 2020 was pretty great for me. Like I went to work from home.
Nice.
Everything was like super open. Like, I don't know if you guys noticed, but like the smog levels in LA like completely dropped. You could actually see the sky.
Yeah.
You know, so I was out there like longboarding, skating. I was outside. I was actually outside every single day,
That's
like
dope.
just skating and stuff like that, because it was like so empty. Like, you can do whatever you want. Now at the same time, you know, there have been losses, but since we all know now that it was freaking orchestrated. The whole point was I had texted people like, "Hey, remember when you thought I was a crazy conspiracist, like, you know, a QAnon like alt-right person?"
Dude,
like, I demand an apology.
Yeah, dog. I mean, it's I've been skeptical of the government since I read the autobiography of Malcolm X when I was like 15. After that, it was like, oh no, they will utilize all of their resources to target and kill whomever, individually and collectively. COINTELPRO was a full-fledged operation to destroy any concept of a black messiah or anybody who would uplift or help the community. Like and to the point of like pumping drugs into communities to kill anyone and everyone. So after that point, it was like, no, and for right reason. So, and then I think it was 2016, 17, a friend of mine gave me a video to watch that put me on a rabbit hole about some stuff that has since been pulled off YouTube. But, and then after that, it was like, this is crazy. But it's been a concerted effort. Our government has, we're here now. Our government has killed so many people intentionally, and it's like documented, intentionally. Good people, people that were doing free lunch programs and after school programs. They made the Black Panthers appear as though they were this demonized group. Black Panthers wanted to arm themselves and feed their community and help their children. But now we know why that's a demonized thing to our government. They don't want us armed, they don't want us fed, and they don't want our children protected. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. It's like, it's very obvious, and they became public enemy number one, Yeah.
And that shows like once you see everything that's happening and you look back at like who did the government say were like the main targets, how easy it is to paint a narrative about, an enemy, like how easy it is to like create a target. And especially point. Like, especially when it comes to the Jews, like before all this, people would like, how could the Nazis do this to like, I'm not even saying like, we got to bring back the Nazis. I'm not saying that. Yeah. I'm just saying, like, notice how easy it is that, like, at one point we were so, like, empathetic.
How they demonize,
with the Jews and the Holocaust. And, I've seen The Pianist. Like, that's one of my favorite, like, pieces about that era.
Yeah.
And now, like, notice how, like, skeptical and, like, how easy it is for people to generate this hate towards like Jewish people. Cause like, I also know like some Jewish people that aren't even like anywhere near this. Like it's just like their religion and lifestyle, but because of like, the nation
is doing wild.
It's going wild.
But in the same regard, like I don't want to be held accountable for stuff America does, so I'm sure there are some Jewish people that don't support the nation of Israel, but that nation is doing some satanic practicing.
But and it's like it's just scary to see like how easy it is to like like pay attention to notice how easy it is to become like a Nazi and to like have all this like hate and frustration and like truth and like, you know, okay, well, who's all involved?
Because especially look at how in America in the
skepticism.
last, 2 election cycles, let's just say, just like looking at how the right wing, you know, really like blew up on this like almost overtly like white rhetoric in a sense, you know, like it demonizing other races, but, you know, exalting kind of.
Oh, like with the alternate Super Bowl. Like,
like that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Just in the last like 4 to 8 years,
Which
you know.
is crazy.
And then to demonize then Hispanics as, you know, the evil immigrants of America, you know, and that didn't take long to really like flip in people's minds, you know. Because Barack wasn't that long ago where he was giving amnesty and things. So like it's very interesting to see, to your point, how quickly, and I think that goes back to the media and the stuff that's put out because, you know, it supports that narrative.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just crazy like how many key pieces of media like I've been watching even more recently, which I'm not even sure like how they're allowing these movies to be made or like put on streaming or, you know, because I feel like they hide like the key ones behind like a paywall. Yeah. But I saw a really good one recently with Adam Driver called The Torture Report. Okay. Or just The Report. And he plays like an auditor basically of like the U.S. Congress. Okay. It's based on a true story about this guy who audited like or investigated the CIA because they like were notified that they burnt like video and tape evidence of like their dealings and actions during 9/11 and everything over that. So he had to like go through like thousands and thousands of paperwork over like 10 years to compile like what was happening and what they say it was doing to like captured like you know, potential like terrorist combatants and you know detainees and all that kind of stuff. Right. And so, you know, he uncovered all these things and like it took him 10 years because they were trying their best to like bury and like red tape and black out, you know, whatever they wanted to black out to save face and all that kind of stuff.
And we see that, you know, right now, like even in the files, it's like a lot of redacted stuff in there, you know? Yeah. There's a lot of names missing, you know?
Oh, anyways. Anyways, I don't want to end the podcast like that, man. We gotta swerve this thing somewhere else. One thing you did mention way earlier before we just went into Wonderland.
It's all right. We can, you know,
you could be the Mad. I could be the Mad Hatter, and you could be, no. What was the bunny's name? I don't know why that was my favorite character.
Oh yeah, dope.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh no. Huh. I could be the Mad Hatter. You could be the Cheshire Cat.
Okay.
There you go.
Oh, the little face with
just living in madness. But one thing you had mentioned earlier that I thought was really cool was that you said that your daughter's like into anime and like you guys watch anime together. I didn't even know you were really into anime like that. Yeah. Either.
I'm not. Okay, so I've learned there's levels to this. Yeah, there's levels. So let me just, before I say anime, I'm not at the level of.
So you came after the Great Awakening.
No, I was there for the Great Awakening was in the 80s. When everything ended, the Awakening ended in the mid 90s. And then after that, it just became, you know.
I don't know about that. Some people will say there was another great shift after 2020.
Oh, after 2020? Yeah. Oh, I'm with that.
Yeah.
I'm with that because I think that not everyone, but a lot of those production companies overseas really started making a concerted effort to make the highest quality of the anime that they could. And then they started catching like wildfire around the world. You know what I mean? That's when like, you know, you got Dragon Ball Super breaking the internet when it came out and stuff like that. And, you know, JJK and all those, like a lot of those shows. Is Attack on Titan post 2020?
Yeah, that's what people will say started the great shift.
I feel that
catching on to Attack on Titan, and that's what people will say. That's their first anime.
I get that. For me, it was, and I actually haven't finished that. So before I say, but I know that was a shift in time because Was that on HBO? Wasn't that coming on HBO on Max or something when it was still?
I don't know where people are finding it because I remember it was like it was a manga obviously first.
Yeah, yeah.
And then I think
and I know there's
Hulu
the Crunchyroll.
Crunchyroll or Hulu had got it, and then they finished it on Hulu.
Yeah. Okay. There were a lot of people that were watching that I know weren't usually anime people, but yeah, I started more in the older school, the action anime. You know, Dragon Ball Z was one of my Ronin Warriors. Coming up, I used to love like Ninja Scroll. Hajime no Ippo is my, you know, because it's a boxing one. Yeah, you feel me? And it's real boxing. You know. What are some other? Those are like my main ones. And then now JJK is like is one of my ones. And then Pokemon, but that's kind of different. But Pokemon was like one of the ones. Yeah.
Naruto was like that intro for me, but like I'm curious, like what are the ones you allow your daughter to like watch?
Yeah.
Because you know, if there are going to be parents who come across this and like, I would never let my kid watch anime. So it's like, which ones is she watching
right now? The only one, especially older ones, she's not as into the anime style as she is more of like the more digital animation style. Like, so the way that you know, some of the newer ones are, but of the older ones, we do Sailor Moon.
Oh
yeah. Sailor Moon is one that she's like into, and that one seems cool so far. I never watched it back in the day, so now I'm watching it with her. That one's cool. But other than that, she's honestly, she's crazy for Pokemon right now, and that's because of the cards and the lore and everything's crazy with Pokemon. It's 30-year anniversary. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I feel like Pokemon's had crazy waves because I remember liking it as a kid, and then I feel like it just died. Then it had like a kind of resurgence with like Pokemon Go.
Changed everything.
Yeah. And then somewhere between that and now,
yes,
it's
the
just
cards went crazy.
Cards.
It's the cards, and the value of the cards. It was like after Pokemon Go, the cards went crazy, and after that happened, the game changed again, and now Pokemon is the most. What is it? The highest generating collectible product or brand in the world. You know what I mean? Yeah, more than like Disney, more than everything. Pokemon it's crazy. I mean, we're getting cards, all that stuff. So.
You know what's funny about Pokemon is that there's at a time where you could actually do this because finances were like not crazy like they are now. But I had such a bad like Pokemon itch. I bought myself a DS just to play the Pokemon Black and I think Pokemon like Diamond that he had on DS. That was the only game I ever bought. And that was the only time I ever played it. I was like,
yeah.
And I played it from beginning to end, like collected everything, got all the legendaries.
Yeah. And then
that's
it's
all
done.
That's all I needed.
There's something about that game though. You get to that completion and it's like, cool. That's it. Yeah. Like I got there. I'm the master. It's over. Yeah, that's dope.
Because some people like to go online and do all that. I'm like, no.
That's getting crazy.
I just dropped $300 just to scratch an itch.
Yeah,
that was funny. But like that's how iconic Pokemon was.
That's dope.
You know.
Yeah, I'm still on it, man.
There you go. But all right, now I feel better.
Yeah.
Man, there's so many cool things about because I want to land this plane here because I think we've been going now for like
okay, we're good, about a little over an hour.
Yeah, let me check
for sure.
Oh yeah, just like right at hour mark.
Come on, dog, smooth.
I really want to have like you, Josh, John, and like even like Marilyn if she can come through like some of like the main cast from like in crew from like the Friendz because there's so many things we didn't even get to talk about because as an audio person, you know, you hear everything.
Even in between the takes.
Even in between, because you never know when if you don't hear cut, like I'm not gonna cut.
And look, I'm gonna be real. Sometimes I am living in character. You know what I'm saying? And it's
You can't even look like Method Man, like a young Method Man too. Now that we're on that, I kind of see it.
All right, maybe I could play as like nephew or something. Come on, dog, little bro, let me get something.
And so there's like, I say all that to say that there's so many great stories and like just these golden nuggets because I felt like that was such a amazing gel of like team and like and like energy and like collaboration and just trying to make things work, because not everything went, you know, as smooth to plan, but we got there, which was really, really cool. So I would love to have them on. And one thing that I thought was really, really cool is that you have a very prominent like Oceanside artist like John Gibbs playing one of the characters, and which is funny because you had said that one of the gang members was from like Oceanside.
And ironically, the funny thing is he knows that person. You know what I mean? And we didn't know that until he was reading the script, and I joked about the person. He was like, "Hey, you know him?" And I was like, "Yeah, dog, that's who he's based off of." And we just were cracking up. And he was like, "Yeah, I totally get it." You know, one shout out to John Gibbs. That's the homie, bro. Even to have him, you know, want to come in and be a part of it. I met John so we had mutual friends, that guy and a couple other people that we had mutual friends. Again, that guy would come out from Oceanside and be in Temecula, and that he was the homie. But I met John at a Juneteenth celebration in Oceanside, and we just started chopping it up. And I told him I'd known who he was, not through the music, but through them. And they had told me about him back in the day, like, oh, he's gonna do X, Y, Z. And it was like, all right, bet, let's see what's up. And never got to link with them. So we linked then, didn't even mention those people, but just linked off of just, you know, being two brothers. It was Juneteenth, and I asked him, I said, have you ever done any acting? And he was like, man, nah, but, you know, it's kind of crazy you said that. I was been thinking about it lately, and we were doing the dailies at the time. And I was like, well, bro, we got something we're shooting in like 2 to 3 weeks. If you're available, just come up and do it. And, you know, he did it. And I didn't know I knew who John was because of those people and how they spoke of him. But I didn't know the musical artist. So when I told Josh, he was like, yo, who? And I was like, John Gibbs. Yeah, he's with the homies with the, you know, he didn't even care about that. He's like, yo, I went and saw him perform and did this and that. I was like, bro, that's love. And for him to come through, and it was all love from the beginning. And, you know, we did Friendz. We're doing the music video. That's his song, If I Die Tonight. We're shooting on the 28th and March 7th. So we're making our music video that connects with it. And then he's helping curate the soundtrack. Yeah. So now, you know, we've just linked and now we're building. And this is just the beginning. So, yeah, it's dope.
It's so crazy how really small knit we really are as a people. And it's beautiful, really, because you really are only like 7 degrees away from whoever you want to be like connected to. You just got to know those connections, and that only comes from like having like these intimate conversations and knowing like who we all have access to, and you know, and the thing is we can do like as people. You know, like if we really stick together, there's just nothing that we can't do, and I think that's also why it's really important that you understand the company you keep. Because what are they helping you accomplish, or like what is the outcome of like your results? And I think, you know, it was really I'm really fortunate that the film here right now, because some of the stuff that went down in the film is crazy. You know, and so do you even keep up with the people from like the film, and or like not like from the
actually
in real life, the characters?
So the funny thing is that person that I played in the film, that because his name wasn't really Coop, I based the Coop character off of him. I never saw him again after the day that happened.
Dang.
Ever again. The conversation ended just the way it did when, you know, we were smoking, and he was like, I'm gonna take this, I'll see you, whatever. Never saw him again after that. And then the character John played is currently on a long vacation. So, you know, and that's a reality, you know, for so many. So, yeah, it's important that there's that truth and that realness to it, because not because like, oh yeah, this is hard, but it's because, you know, you lose those people, you know what I mean? And they, who knows, you know, what happens. And again, we're kind of circling back. It's our responsibility to teach one, to lock arms, to pour into each other, and to pour into others. So that shouldn't happen.
Amen. Yeah, that's beautiful. And you know, if you have an opportunity to see the short film Friendz wherever it's available, because we're going to be pushing this
Yeah.
for a while at different film festivals. Is it ever going to be online at some point?
Yeah, we're gonna do. We're gonna put it online after the festival run, like through early next year.
Yeah, it's definitely worth a watch. I haven't even seen any like pre-edits or anything. Like I'm just talking based off what I've seen from like the recordings, and it's great. So I would love to have some of the cast and crew in here and get set up.
And I want to say, for real, Isaiah, I appreciate you for being involved with it. Off of just the strength of us connecting through Hapless Revenge, right?
Don't even remind me of that.
I know, and that was a bad project in a sense, but great because that was where we linked, and the first time I got to work with Josh and the whole crew. So, what the devil made for bad, God used for good. The movie wasn't that bad, but it was like, bruh, you better not be playing this on here. Anyway, but yeah, from that, and I appreciated that. And then you came out for this off the strength of that. And then we were able to do the dailies where we got into the groove. So it's like, and then now we're doing the video for John. So it's like, we're rolling.
Exactly. Well, Ryan, do you have any those are beautiful last words, but did you have any last plugs or anything you want to put in here at the end here?
Man, I mean, just check out the Friendz film. I will post more information for our screenings. We're going to have a great party and celebration for the screenings, along with musical performances from my boy John Gibbs, my brother Cadillac Freeze. We have Prof Zilla, a part of it as well. And Josh is going to be doing spoken word. So the whole celebration, the whole event's going to be dope. Finalize it with the film. And then, so come out, party with us. And we want you to be friends.
There you go. Now, you're going to see all those updates on Ryan's page, and I'll try to update as well. So you can follow Ryan at...
Oh, Brother Rye. Follow me at Brother Rye on everything.
Yeah.
Brother Rye.
Links in the description. Leave a comment about what you thought about this podcast, any crazy conspiracies, and where you kind of find yourself now. Share your thoughts. Make sure to like, share, subscribe. And I believe we have a special performance, now you mention it, from Josh coming up after this.
Yeah.
So that's going to be exciting.
Get him, Josh. Come on, boy.
Sometimes you got to modify. Lord calling plays. His people got playlists like Spotify. Deep inside. Real deep inside, we don't see eye to eye because everything we won't realize, if in our conscience, he demonized. Selfish just to be about me and mine. That's why every line is birthed from life experience, being mom. That's how I know you gon' feel my rhymes. When truth heard, it connects with a soul deep inside. We seeking truth while trying to hide, questioning truths while living lies, demanding grace, faith ain't supplied. Meanwhile, widows and orphans wiping teary eyes, and most could give a damn if them niggas cried. I hide this pain in our heart, multiplies. Holy Father, I know your children down here souls tired, breaking backs till dawn's crack, feeling behind. Melanin the fashion, niggas showing behind. At an eye, too much to ask, feel less stress up in my mind. Performing every day like I'm in Indy at the combine. How the hell the son of man treating mankind? Easy to see, I want submitted vision, leave a man blind. R.I.P. digesting meat, always take time. I'll be the bridge through them good and them bad times. Cause I'm the real deal. Planting seeds this holy field. Taking bites out of the mist so you know it's real. Bitches and high heads need to chill. Not moving mountains so obsessed with your hidden hills. Course we depressed. We been raised giving happy meals. Without his image then you fake. I gotta keep it real. This shit for Emmett Till. For all my dudes on the block, so fam, enjoy your meal. Getting crucified, they not the real dudes passing bills. This truth is sickening, how you know it's ill. This for my equals popping bottles and popping pills. So numb to the bullshit, they don't know how to feel. Perverted speed is perfect and copping feels. Used and abused, giving keys, taught to key and pill. Indoctrinated losers mindset coupled with winning wills. This jackass cutting the beanstalk, I'm on a giant kill. That's why I'm living like David, popping giant steel. Most of us moving like Judas, switching for them bills. Lord Father gon' make us learn that pride kills. If dudes ain't had your back, that corner will. But it'll stab you in the back before your niggas deal. You see life for simulation, need his blood pill. If you don't go like Uncle Phil, that dot blotted out the Lord's will. Cause when his blood clots and lead to blood shots, still got the poor and crippled, getting persecuted by you blood cops. Now that I'm on, don't mean the blood stops. Stay alert, cause ain't no mercy in me for you blood ops.